let's play around and have some fun practicing with Max. I have answers embedded inside this for each of these problems. This P object in Max is a patcher, and it lets you grab up an entire Max patch and shrink wrap it down to this tiny little box. If you double click, boom, there's the entire patch back. So I've tucked in the answers to each of these problems along with the question in one space. So I'm going to let you just play around a little, and then we'll go over all the answers here. So you should pause this and try and answer everything and then come on back. We'll also be going over these live Thursday night if you want to kind of ask some questions. So create a new print object, send it a message, and run it. This is the classic problem for all programmers. Every time we come to a new programming language, hello world. Write a program that says hello world. And here we've changed it a little, hello Max. So we just simply needed to type in and create the print object, send the message hello Max to it. And we run this by just clicking on the hello Max icon. If we wanted to modify this a bit so that we could see this on the screen, because I have that window off screen, we could add the attribute pop-up 1. And now when I run it, boop, there's the little hello Max. Okay, let's move on to number 2. All right, create a toggle, type it, connect it to an integer box, create a bang button, and connect that to a message box, and then explore what toggle and bang do. So I think you may have heard about this in other lectures that we've run already. So here's a toggle, and as we turn that on and off, the number box shows that when it's on, it's sending a 1, and when it's off, it's sending a 0. You can use this is why you can use this to turn on and off Visi modules. Set is a message that tells a message box to clean itself out, empty up. So we'll clean that out and send the bang in here with a button push, boom. So the symbol bang is literally what's being sent every time you push a button. Now this one's a little more complicated, and it introduces the idea of Max being able to do regular mathematical calculations like you're used to doing on your calculator. There are operators like plus, times, divide, multiply, and a few others. You simply type the symbol, leave a space, and then if you want a floating point operation, make sure you include a decimal point number here. Okay, 2 point or 0 point. Otherwise, it'll think you just want to work with integers. So what I've done is taken 2 number boxes, sent them in to be added together, take a peek at what the answer is, divide that by 2, take a peek at what the answer is, and then use set to make that show up in a comment box. The comment box has the font and the color that I want from the inspector. So let's take a look here. If I run this number, every time this changes, the addition is done because it's coming into a hot outlet. The sum changes, that fires right down, the division happens, and we set the comment box. So this happens in real time. This outlet, though, remember, is going into a blue inlet. So when we move this, nothing happens until bang, I send something into that hot outlet. So that points out again the difference between hot and cold. Not one is right and one is wrong. You might want one for a certain type of application. You might want a different type of signal for another application. And let me point out that the comment box, we're going to right click here to look at the attributes and messages for a comment box. There's a message called set and then a variable to actually tell you what contents should be displayed in the comment box. In Max, a variable is called $1, $2, $3, as many as you need in a given sentence. So I want to take whatever this number is coming in on the wire. I don't know what it's going to be, right? It's going to vary. It's going to change all over the place. So whatever that value is, use that to set this comment box. And that's the big secret of how that's all working. Now this last one says, start exploring some other objects that you haven't played with yet. Maybe a case slider and dials, and how would you be switching things? Maybe take a look at the if message. So let's look over this one. Okay, I've kind of color coded it because there are little maybe three parts to it. So the first thing we have is note out. So note out uses, let's unlock. So we can see note out wants the pitch, how loud, the velocity, and then the MIDI channel. And if we lock in, when we double click on note out, it says, okay, where do I send this stuff? Like, who do you want to be using? It said, oh yeah, you should just use the built-in synthesizer that's provided by Microsoft. If you're on a Mac, there's a different name for the built-in synthesizer. Okay, so this fabulous object is the K slider, a keyboard slider, and we can run along here and get all kinds of beautiful sounds out. What I've done is put a dial here to control the volume. So this will be very quiet and then increasingly loud as you play. This message is being sent into the third inlet. So this is controlling whether I have a piano sound, or remember 10 is the channel we talked about as the MIDI channel for drum kits. Now to run, right now I'm choosing between piano and drum kit by sending a message, either 1 or 10. But maybe I'd like to do it just by turning on or off a toggle. Okay, so here's piano, I turn it off, I got drum kit. There are a couple ways to do that. The first is to just use the word if. So if, and the thing I'm expecting coming in is an integer, so I say $I1. If that is the same, equals to the number 1, then send a 1 out the outlet. Otherwise, send a 10 out the outlet. So this if statement is going to be very familiar if you've programmed it in the other language, but it might not be so familiar or make so much sense if you are new to programming in general, right? Equals. Why are they saying that? Why do they say else? What's this I want? So if you've seen programming in some other context, having an if statement like this might be very friendly, and that's a nice way to use the toggle. But if you haven't, there are other ways of doing this in Macs. And there's something called the select object. So select says, I'm looking for a 1. And if a 1 comes in, I'm going to fire a bang down this line. Otherwise, I'm going to just fire down this line. So we can turn this on. Remember, when a toggle goes on, it's a 1. So a 1 comes down, a 1 goes into the note.out, and there's our piano. When we turn this off, a 0 comes down the toggle. Select says, are you a 1? No? Then I'm going down this route, and a 10 message gets sent to note.out. So decide which one of these is the most logical for you, either an if statement or the select, and know that we're going to be able to use that a lot. That gives a lot of flexibility to your programs now, because you can make decisions based on what the users do. If they type a certain thing, if the value is in this range, if something is less than a limit, you can go one way with it. Otherwise, you can go the other way with it. All right, so we're going to be using that a lot as our programs get more complicated. There's a more sophisticated version of select that's root, and it matches more than one number. So select just has one number. If you match this here, if you don't, go here. Okay, root says I've got 3 numbers, I'm going to have 4 outputs, 4 outlets. here's what I get. You can even hover and say, here's what I get if the input matches 1. Here's what I get if the input matches 10. Here's what I get if it matches 20. Here's otherwise if it matches anything else. So select and root are very, very handy friends for you as you build your Max programming skills.